Okay, so welcome back, everyone. We've got a special guest today that goes under the name of Comics to Movies. He's going to be telling us about, a lot of the comics he works on, the processes, and those sort of influences. Normally, this time of year, he's out on the convention circuit, showcasing his stuff and getting people to go out and buy his comics. And which you should all be doing too. You should be supporting local artists. It's a major priority, I think, these days, that we do as much as we can to support all our local industry. So welcome to the TGF stream.
Hey guys, my name's Shaun Keenan, and I run the publishing company Comics to Movies. I'm happy to be here, talk everything there is about comics, publishing, crowdfunding, you name it. I've kind of got my fingers in the pie at the moment, so yeah.
All right, so let's just get straight into it. What is the latest project? What are you working on right now? What can people see?
Okay, so the latest project that just finished up on Kickstarter is this one that you can see behind me, which is XCT Fractured World. Now that's our third graphic novel in Australia's #1 selling independent comic book series. So we've sold almost 6,500 issues of that so far. Wow. It's been going around for about five years.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most successful indie comic publishing books out there at the moment. So, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So we've got actually a number of other presenters who are in different parts of the world. So hopefully when they're promoting this, that you get some attention in some other territories. So tell us about the story and the characters.
Definitely. So XCT is based in the year 2069, where all of historical warriors have been recloned and are now forced to fight off in this brutal sport called the Extreme Champion Tournament. So our main hero is Spartacus, and it pretty much starts off with him back in the arena. So if you don't know the story of Spartacus, he fought to get out of the arena and fought Rome, and in our story, he's pretty much smack bang where he started. So
okay.
It's a bit of a throwback to that, but we've got a lot of different characters from different regions over the world. So we've kind of taken some of the different nationalities' most brutal warriors and put them into this tournament, so that it will then hopefully appeal to different audiences all around the world.
Oh, fantastic. So that's very, very interesting kind of concept, and the whole thing with Spartacus, and I think he'd have a bit of a shock kind of appearing in this time. So let's tell us about the process, with creating one of these comics. Now, a lot of people will who are maybe not reading comics, haven't read comics for a long, long time, might still think of the old days of, it's all, it's just pencil and ink and then, copied, and that's about it. Does some of those processes still exist? And, how much has it changed with the introduction of, digital media?
So I'm the writer and creator of the series, but I have a group of about between 6 and 7 guys in the whole creation process. Mm-hmm. So it starts off with me writing either like a book rather than a comic script, and then I have Ben Rosenthal who does it as an actual comic script. From there, it then goes to our artist, who is actually a Russian artist, and he does all of the pencil and inks digitally. Then it comes back to me to make any adjustments or approvals in that process. And then it gets sent over to Singapore, where our colorist is. And he goes through his process. And then we've got a local letterer, Darren Close, who does all of the letters. Once that's all done, then goes off for a bit of proofreading. So we've got I've got a family member who's a teacher, so she usually does the proofreading for me. And then after that, it goes to myself editing, making any adjustments or changes, and then to another person to collate it all together to then go to a printer. So it's quite a lengthy process and quite an expensive process. So when you're looking at a 24 to 28 page floppy comic, full color, it can cost anywhere between about $4,000 to $7,000 to create that single issue. So the next time you're looking at picking one up and you go, oh geez, $7, that's expensive.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, well, look, fair enough. But that's interesting. You were saying about, you've got different people in different parts of the world working on it, and it's a thing that I've, the gentleman I was speaking to yesterday from India, he was saying about with games development, he's got people in many different countries all around the world, working on to make a project. And that's kind of amazing how you're going on saying, oh, we've got one in Russia, we've got one over here, we've got one over there. And so that's really kind of interesting how and I think that's one of the great things about that is that I think with anything is that, I know some people, especially in a smaller country like Australia, where some people go, oh, I can't find people. But with the digital age now, you can start going, well, maybe there's someone who fits in with us, but they're on the other side of the planet.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So even within Australia, the people that I deal with, Ben is actually from South Australia, from Adelaide. So again, I send it off to him, and then the guy that collates it together is in Albury, and I live in regional Victoria in a small town called Gisborne. So where even the Australian people that I have attached to this is actually, we're not like right next door to each other, but with things like Dropbox, Google Docs, all these type of share platform technology that you can use, it's been a great process in being able to share like quite large files, probably not as big as tech game files or anything like that, but even with their artwork files, they are quite large. So to be able to do them and just drop them in the Dropbox and go, oh, can you make these type of changes, rather than trying to send an email and get rejected by your email provider or anything like that. So it's a great way to connect with people all around the world as well. So I use Facebook groups to find people that have similar interests to myself, and then kind of see who has a similar work ethic to myself that I can think that, moving forward would be a good fit to kind of work with.
It's interesting when you were talking about, locations, like you're in, rural Victoria. I grew up in an extremely rural setting in northern New South Wales. And I remember watching, TV shows and movies like, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, those sort of things. And I was lucky enough to be able to, have my grandfather's Super 8 camera and all his editing gear. And I was like, can I have this so I can make stuff? And like, I was surrounded by paddocks, and like, it just shows you that even in this day, you can be in a remote part and then still be able to produce something of this level, AAA, title level, and you're in a rural setting, and it's something that I would love to have had when I was a kid. But it's something that when I hear people go, "Oh, I'm not really sure," whatever, and it's like, you have the luxury of actually living in a digital age, and you're also living in a city, so you've got no excuses. But I think that sort of complacity also, on the other side, works for people like you that are motivated to make this, because then people go, "Oh, well, there's the product. I'm just going to go buy it."
I think the biggest compliment that I can get is, especially when we released the first one, like I hadn't done this before, and I've been a big fan of comics, but had never tried self-publishing or anything like that. And the biggest compliment we got even from the get-go was that if you put our book next to a DC or a Marvel or one of those books, it stacked up quite well against it. You wouldn't be able to tell the quality difference, the color difference, and everything. I think that's a big difference in regards to when you are starting out. If you just take your time and actually invest in the quality of the book, you'll go a lot further, even if maybe the story is not 100% great, but if it looks fantastic, you will get a lot further than if you kind of rush and push something out that's maybe not up to standard type of thing.
Yeah. So before we go on and just maybe talking about your website and some and titles and whatever, I want to go back to more like your childhood. Were you doing comics when you were young? What influenced you back then? What were you doing during that period? And did you ever think that you would be a comic publisher?
No, not at all. So for me, the way I got into comics to begin with was I found out that when I was older that I'm a visual learner. So I was not great at English or wanting to read or anything like that. So it was actually my mum that bought me one of my first comic books to try and entice me to read. And it was from there that my love of comics kind of grew. So, I started collecting some Spider-Man books. And then when I got a little bit older, there was a run of X-Men by Jim Lee, which is now the 90s boom in 1991. And that's what really spawned my love for comics and my love for reading and all that and writing as well. So, but I went off and did an IT diploma. Back then it was NMIT, which is no longer even around anymore.
Yeah.
But I went off and still kind of did a little bit of collecting, got into probably movies more than I did stay in the comic industry. But it wasn't until the mid to late 2000s when all these comic conventions started coming out that I really got back into it and realized there was so many people that kind of loved what I loved. I was a mad AFL supporter. I played football when I was younger, but none of the people I kind of hung around actually had that interest in comics or anything like that. So when I found all these people, I was like, "Oh, I'm home. This is fantastic."
It's amazing you're saying that, because reflects, I think, myself and everyone else I've been speaking to, and I've always seen this, but the people I've been speaking to in the last few days, especially, and in doing these interviews, is that influence. It's like people finding out that you're not it's like for a long time you can think, am I the only one really interested in this, and everyone else who is in Canada or America or somewhere, and there's no one around here. And then you go to a convention or something else and you go, oh, they're everywhere. And then you're around people that have the same interests, and that's where you have that big difference, that from where high school, where insecurity plays a big part, where you get people who are really into that sort of stuff but don't say anything or even cover it up, and which I've seen years later. I'm like, wow, hang on, you were a sporto and you used to put down people for that stuff, and now I found out you've got 2 rooms dedicated to Batman and Star Wars. So what's going on here? But it's interesting you were saying that, and especially with the emergence of conventions. I went to a convention, I think it was in Moorabbin, just after I came to Melbourne 20 years ago, and it had Anthony Daniels was the main speaker, C-3PO, Virginia Hay, who was just doing Farscape, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he's in lots of movies. He played the bounty hunter in X-Files, and they were the main 3, and there must have been like 100 people there, and it was really small. And I remember sitting there like 4 foot away from Anthony Daniels, just like, oh, it's C-3PO, and looking around going, well, there are some other people. But a few years later, we started getting the Juggernauts, which we now see all the time now. And, they make mainstream news.
Yeah, and I think like this, the conventions and social media all kind of came together at once. So not only were you able to go to these conventions and kind of be around people that liked everything that you liked as well, you're then able to now go home and keep in contact with these people quite easily, quite frequently, more so than just by phone calls or text messages. You're able to share information a lot quicker. And I guess that's where the idea of my business came from. I was walking around the convention scene. I had seen like a lot of artists that I liked. I'd been going to the conventions for a few years, and the one thing that I noticed was that a lot of the artists either had the same books or the same artwork year on year. And I was like, I really want to support you, and I really love your stuff, but I've actually got everything that I like of yours, and you kind of haven't produced anything else. So that's where my idea was, to collate a group of artists together. We did limited edition prints, and we would rotate those prints. So we would keep creating new stuff. When one would sell out, we would create another, and that kind of grew legs and become quite successful until I came up with the idea for the Extreme Champion tournament. So, and now we've got 3 other books in our stable. We've got another one coming out later this year, and then we're also looking at opening up our publishing wing early next year for up and coming creators as well.
Oh wow, that sounds fantastic. Do you ever wake up some days, or you forget that this is what you're doing?
Sometimes I wake up and I forget where I am. Sometimes was it last year or the year before? They all seem to merge together these days. But I did 27 conventions in a year.
Yeah.
So that's half of the year. And I would go to the UK. I've been to France. I've been to New Zealand. I've been to America. And sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night and I'd be like, where am I? I'm in Brisbane. Okay, sweet. No, that's right. I remember where I am now. Yeah. But look, if people told me 10 years ago that I would have gotten to travel and be invited along to conventions and to have seen as much of the world as I have because of a comic book, I literally would have laughed in their face and just went, yeah, whatever type of thing. But, as I said, I've been able to go to France 3 times to a specialised Spartacus convention. I've been, pretty much all over New Zealand with the conventions over there. I've been to 7 or 8 different states in the US. Last year, I was lucky enough to release a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, which was one of the first Australian independent comics to do that. So, I as much as sometimes it does feel like any other job, when you take a step back and look at what I've been able to do and where I've been able to go and who I've been able to interact with, I would not change it for anything. So
when did you ever when was the first time, like when you were doing it, did you kind of went, wow, I am a comic publisher? Was there ever a time where it kind of dawned on you? Because like I speak to some people and they could be doing it for like 10 years in all different types of areas, and I get a lot that go, oh, I don't really feel like I'm that person, or that's what it is. And then even though it's really everyone else is looking at them going, but you are, but they don't see it, and it takes a long time for them to kind of go, oh, actually I am doing this. It is legit.
Yeah, well, I think only the last 12 months I've kind of thought about that, and that was when I started thinking about how I was going to market the Extreme Champion tournament, and kind of collated how many I've sold. And then I was speaking to other people that I'd kind of looked up to and admired to, and then realised that I, tripled or quadrupled the amount of sales they had made with the Extreme Champion tournament. I was like, wow, okay. And then people started coming to me, asking me questions. And I was like, hang on a sec. Like, I feel like I'm still learning and expanding my skills and those type of things. But, I have ran 10 Kickstarters now. I've produced 8 books in the XCT series. We're now up to our 2nd book in Terra Olympus. Now we're releasing a 3rd series. So now I feel a lot more confident, not only in myself, but to go out there and say, okay, I am that independent publisher. I am proud to say that I've created something successful, and also I am happy to share some love and give back to the community that's given to me. And that's why we're looking at, as I said before, opening up our publishing wing to other creators to help fast track them along this process, rather than us all trying to find our own way of doing it.
Yeah. Right. Well, while we got you here, why don't you let's see if you can bring up your website so we can all have a look, and maybe we'll discuss maybe some of the covers or yeah, anything else you want to share with us. So this is your website.
Yep, so it's comicstomovies.com.au.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got, I've just gone to our independent comic book section. So we've got what they call the standard and incentive cover. So our standard cover are ones that we will reprint, and there's a lot more of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then our incentive covers are limited edition ones. So they're a little bit more expensive, but for those comic collectors, they're the ones that they kind of gravitate towards. So they're also really good when you are doing any sort of crowdfunding or anything like that, offering a higher end product that's practically the same as your standard product, but that you're able to charge more for, is a great crowdfunding tip, because if you're not having to invest any more money into something to actually get more money for it, that's a great way to raise some extra funds for any crowdfunding platform.
So are these both print versions and digital versions?
Correct. So all these ones up the top are the printed versions.
Mm-hmm.
Down here we've got the PDF version for 99 cents.
Yep.
Then we've been lucky enough to have a local artist do a Spartacus statue, which
that was going to be
about,
yeah.
Yeah, it's about 10 inches.
Yeah.
So it's quite big. It's very, very, very cool. And it is based off the cover of our issue 0.
Yeah.
Then we've been lucky enough to produce this one, which is called Dead Man's Land, and that's a limited edition graphic novel done by Spartacus actor Barry Duffield. So he's written this one, and we've got an American artist to do the artwork, and then we've got a collected edition of only 500 of these printed through us.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got his regular distributor that he's got a normal version through, which is kind of cool. We've done what you call sketch covers as well, so that you can grab one, take it to your favorite artist and get a sketch cover done, which is really popular at conventions and those type of things. And then we've got a couple of our own graphic novels. So we've got an anthology within the XCT universe called Most Wanted, and that's got 6 different artists, 6 different writers from all around the world, and are just short stories within the XCT universe. Now, we did that because we were pitching this to Netflix as a TV series, and the one advice that they had said to us that if you're going to do a TV series, they would chew through the amount of work that we had already done quite quickly. So to expand the universe quicker and add more characters in and everything, we did an anthology. So we're just about to release our next one on Kickstarter as well.
Wow.
Then we've got our Terra Olympus, which is our sci-fi series, which is co-created with one of my mates, Stephen. And that's set in the future where the world is kaput, and the last of humanity is hurtling through space on a space station, trying to find a new home. And there's a conspiracy on board to kill everyone. So that's quite a cool, different series compared to XCT. And then we've got our other graphic novel that's already out, which is XCT Breakout. So we've decided to go away from the single issues and start doing the graphic novels. And for us, that's so that we can get into bookstores, so we can get into libraries, and you can find all of the stuff there. So
because yeah, I know people love those type of books. I know that, I think with like some of my older comics I've had from many years ago, and I've got them, some of those I had put away, and I thought, and I'd go into a comic store or someplace or a convention, and it'd be like, oh no, we've got, all 12 issues all in one book. And it's like, well, this is something I can put on my side table and I can read through it, and as opposed to having, getting up, trying to get different ones out and whatever, and also I'll read through the whole thing. The bit about the toy, the statue, because I was going to ask you, are you going into that? And that's where I was like, oh well, he's already beat me to that question. So that's how do you feel about when you go, well, you've got your comics, you've got all these different things, and you've got merchandise.
Yeah, well, I think that like with independent comics, it's quite hard to keep up to a schedule. We're not a DC, we're not a Marvel, we can't release comics monthly. A lot of us have other jobs on the side.
Yeah.
So the other way to kind of keep bringing out new stuff is to start doing merchandise. So I'm a big statue collector. I've got a bunch of Star Wars ones, a bunch of Gambit statues. He's my favorite X-Men character. So I was like, man, I would really love to do a Spartacus statue. And again, at one of these conventions, just happened to be talking to this bloke, and he's like, oh well, I'm a sculptor. I'd be really happy to kind of, work something out. And so we did a run of just 5, so not many of them, but I've got a cast there if I ever want to go back and do more. So I've got 2 left out of those 5, but it is kind of cool. Even now, like when all the books come from the printers, and that very first time you flick through and it's got that new book smell, and I still get a buzz even 5 years on now with the new books. It's super exciting, and I don't think it'll ever get old type of thing.
Yeah. No, it must be an amazing feeling. So, with what sort of movies, TV shows, comic books, all that sort of stuff did you, what were you looking when you were growing up? What really influenced you, and some stuff that was just like, I just liked it.
Well, for me, my favorite movies were growing up with the Star Wars movies. I'm a big Star Wars fan. Always loved the expanded universe. So whenever I did, when I started creating comics and everything, I was always loved that world building stage where you're working out who the characters were and how they fitted in and what they looked like, and what vegetation was around and what animals and all that type of stuff. So Star Wars was my favorite growing up. And then Lord of the Rings came out when I was just in my early 20s, and that really fueled my passion and drive and everything to create comics to movies when the idea finally came.
Yeah. So you mentioned Gambit before. So, I think the Gambit movie's been up and down for many, many years. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh man, when Channing Tatum was first announced, I was like, oh no, please. I didn't mind Taylor Kirsch in Wolverine Origins, even though that's a horrible film. But I did like his portrayal of Gambit.
Yeah.
But after watching the 22 Jump Streets and everything, I didn't realize that Channing could be actually so funny. So I was like, okay, I'll reserve my judgment until I see it. And then it got pushed back because he was having a bit of trouble getting down the Cajun accent, which is quite a unique accent. It's a French American accent type of thing. It's very unique to New Orleans. There's not too many places that have that type of Cajun accent. So, and then all the dramas, or then Marvel got sold to Disney, and now they're talking about bringing the X-Men in individually, and sounds like Rogue is coming in as a villain in Captain Marvel 2, and then Gambit is coming in as he might make a cameo stealing something, is what's kind of rumoured, and then then slowly introducing all the X-Men type of thing. So, but I can't wait. You know, I love the old cartoon series, and
Yeah.
you know, I've got surrounded by Gambit stuff at the moment. So,
Yeah. Well,
my dog's name's Gambit.
Yeah, it's like when they first mentioned it, I'd seen him in other movies, and I was like, oh, okay, I can see it. I could visualize him as that character. I think it's also because growing up seeing kind of the older movies where they kind of mention an actor and you'd go, how's this going to work? You know, how's that? And it was also when Marvel started talking about, oh, we're going to do an Iron Man movie and we're going to do Thor, and I remember thinking, how are they going to do that? Because I couldn't visualize it, because I was thinking old school comics, old school cartoons, you know, how it's going to feel, and are they going to get it right? It's going to be that right balance, or is it going to be like so far removed from what it really is? So it's like, oh yeah, he's kind of in the outfit and this name, but it's if you read the comics or anything else, you know, you'd go, it's true. And like, I'm not a purist in that thing. Go, oh, it's got to be exactly the same. Like, I think for me, it's for me because I'm more accepting because of Batman. Because it's like I accept all the different versions. So you've got, you know, Adam West Batman, you got 1930s TV serial Batman, you got Keaton Batman, you know, you got Bale Batman. I even like Batfleck. So yeah, because I remember the amount of hell that he got before it, because and I understand where people are coming from, because all they could think of is him saying justice from Daredevil, which I remember seeing at the movies going,
no, but I say this whenever someone brings up Daredevil.
Yeah.
If you have not watched the director's cut of Daredevil,
yeah,
you will never know why he got the job as Batman, because the director's cut of Daredevil is phenomenal. It is such a good movie.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't get with Elektra. It's much, much darker.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where you get the intervention from big corporates that go, no, he has to get the girl, there has to be love interest, and all that type of stuff, rather than, you know, him having that angst and that conflict and everything. And that's the one thing I have to say about the comic industry now is 20 years ago, people think the comic industry is just superheroes.
Yeah,
it's not superheroes. It's the Umbrella Academy. It's Extraction with Chris Hemsworth. If you've watched that on Netflix, that's actually based on a graphic novel. You know, there's The Boys. There's which does have superheroes, but very, very different. The Walking Dead, a total zombie show. So, you know, it's not just about superheroes. And, you know, I think graphic novels and comics are such an important learning tool, and you know, if libraries and that could get on board, and that's why I'm so keen to get myself out there and doing talks and everything, because it's such a great tool to help kids learn, to help kids you know, think about moral implications. You know, XCTs based around clones and watching them fight to the death. You know, is that, who's the bad guy? Are we the bad guys, you know, watching that and that, or when they escape and they start killing people, they're the bad guys? There's, you know, that grey area, and I like that idea of kind of making people think and also having some morals to the story each time we do an issue. If someone does something questionable, we're like, okay, did he do the right thing, or did he do the right thing for the right reasons, or do you do the wrong thing for the right reasons, type of thing? So yeah.
But like the whole thing of the graphic novel has been very powerful. I think some people don't realize in some companies. Like I can remember the you know, DC did one. It would have to be almost 30 years ago, and it was to do with landmines in certain countries, and you had Superman was involved, and it was more about educating, don't touch these things. So, you know, and instead of just putting up a sign, they were releasing all these comics for free, just to educate people on the dangers of landmines or other explosives. And they've done that in many other areas. And for many people, that is their introduction to to many values or learning about things. And I think it's also, it's become more important now because, yeah, like you were saying about, being a visual thinker. I think people a lot, because of we're seeing things more visual, there's probably more visual thinkers probably now they're out there, and that's how they kind of relate, and that's how their brain processes information. I know that mine does. So yeah, it makes a real big impact.
Yeah, so that's what I love, and we're just about to. The libraries have opened up in a local area last week, so we're about to just drop off some graphic novels to them. So we'll say if there are any people watching out there that know people in libraries or work within a library themselves, reach out to us. We're more than happy to either donate or work out some wholesaling or even very heavily discounted price to kind of get those in, because as I said, I'm very passionate about this. So
yeah, sure are. All right, well, Shaun, thank you very much for your time. For everyone that's watching us through the New Game Plus /TGF stream, we will have information about Shaun's publishing company and everything else in the description. If you're watching this through the Cause and Effect Gamers YouTube, we will be doing the same. Now, hopefully in the coming months, and that we will hear from Shaun when there's anything new that he needs to bring out. So we will promote that on various social media, because we very much like those people who give their time to these things, because we always run these events for raising money for charity. That we like to support those who support these sort of events. And also that, we want to see what they're doing. And, these are people that they've gone out and actually done it. They have done it. A lot of them are not big corporations. They're individuals out there doing what they love and trying to make a living out of it. And this is the sort of people that we should be supporting and placing more focus on than just the kind of old school generic stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with, Superman and Spider-Man or anything like that, but I think, more power to you and everything you do. And I think it's a great success story that where you are right now. I think it's everything you've shown me, especially with the statuettes and everything else, and combining episodes and that. I was like, wow, yes, that's ticking every box.
Yeah, it's been super grateful from all the support that I've been shown by people. But early this year, we kind of tried to give back as well. And if you search Australia Burns Anthology, we actually did a graphic novel which had contributions from all around the world, and 100% of those proceeds go to people that have been affected by the bushfires. So I will give that a quick plug and shout out, because that's another great cause. COVID-19 has hit them even harder after the bushfires and everything. So it's $20 over 100 pages. So if you can check that out, it's called Australia Burns Anthology, which would be
okay.
great.
Well, hopefully you'll send me the links, and then we can put that out.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right, Shaun. Thank you very much for your time. Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. No, it's been fantastic. It's just been great. So thank you very much.
We'll do this all day.
Yes. Yeah. We could. Thanks, Shaun.